Hi everyone, this is Christian Sasso, and today I would like to talk about a game I've been working on as part of the game studio class I'm taking in Cogswell. And it is a game that was commissioned to Cogswell by a company called Prairie Rainbow Company. So this is their website. They have on their catalog these blocks made of wood. They are colored differently depending on their shape. And there are essentially different games that the children can play to learn how to multiply, sum, subtract. And they typically sell these to schools so that their students can learn while playing. And they decided to go digital, so they asked Cogswell to design a video game that can work on phones, smartphones, and tablets. So that means essentially a touch interface. And the goal would be to teach children the concept of place value and also to count and perform operations in bases other than 10. So for instance, the binary base. Place value is this concept that the digits inside the number, depending on which position they have a different value. For instance, in number 22, the digits, even though they are the same, they have a different value because the one on the right is units, so it's only 2. The one on the left is 2 tens, so it's 20. So even though it looks the same, they look the same, their value is different. And so I designed for the class a game that is essentially a puzzle game that consists of digital blocks that are organized in stacks. So here this is Unity. The game is not complete yet, but this is Unity, so I can run the game from the Unity editor. And we have the main screen with the title. On the right we have free play. That means you can play just the puzzles, or start, that is for the story mode. So I'm running this on a PC and I use a mouse and the cursor, but imagine that when I click, I am touching on, for instance, something like an iPad with my fingers. Same thing. So I click on start, and here is the main character. That's Ingrid. So she has the goal of freeing her friend that was kidnapped by the trolls, and so she's going to his rescue. And on her way, she has to solve puzzles. And for instance, now she meets a friend, has this problem with the puzzle, so ask her to solve it. There will be dialogues that we haven't added yet, but there is support for it. And so we have this puzzle that you see overlaying the background. We have stacks of blocks. And they have different shapes, and they have different colors, and they can go up and down. You can also do something like borrowing, like you can take one big plate of that is 100, 10 times 10, and break it down into 10 what we call sticks that are 10 each. So you see that even visually they look the same. It's just that the plates are laid horizontally and the 10 sticks are vertical. But see, I can always recombine them back. So this gives already a visual idea to the children that, 10 tens is equivalent to 100, but it takes only 100 to make 10 tens. And you can go both ways. You can either break down a bigger block into smaller blocks or smaller blocks into a bigger one. It's fine, as long as their value is the same. Now, the purpose of the game is to combine above the same value on the left and on the right so that they will disappear. And sometimes they will be used as pieces to build things like a bridge and so on, but logically this is the idea. And so we have 4 stacks on the left at the base and 4 on the right. Now on the right we don't have the 1,000, but if it was there it would look like this. And as you can see, you can swipe the pieces also across the stacks, and not only up and down but everywhere, as long as they are in the right position. So what we want to do now is have, for instance, if you have this 1,000 here on the left, we have to have 1,000 on the right. So, or we can have 200 and you have to have 200 there, and see, they disappear. Or twos and twos. So 2 units and disappear. We can simply go and say, for instance, 100, 100, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, combine it here, and try to combine the ones. So we have 3 and 3. We can take the 10 and break it down again. And now it's not easy to do this while talking and making the video, but essentially, see, now we have 1,000 and what, 300 left. So we would have to divide them into 2 groups of 650 each, which we can try to do. So for instance, we can take these there, 650, so we have to take 50 back. And we can break down this into tens so that we can like 5 there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can break this further. And for instance, break this down. So we have to learn to think strategically. And like this. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice that we have 6 tens and 5 tens. And they don't have to be all tens. For instance, I can have 10 ones, so the sum is still 60 on both sides, even though the pieces are different. As long as their value is the same, it's fine. So now we pass the first puzzle and we can proceed to the next one. Notice that the first puzzle here, I modified it to the original one. The original one is much simpler, has many less pieces, and it is meant to slowly teach children what are the operations they can perform with them. Here I placed many more pieces so that I had more freedom of combining things and swiping them. Now the swiping and recombining means that I can, for instance, I can do this. It's like borrowing, right? If I, or this is a carryover, right? Because borrowing and carryover. So even though this is just a swipe, visually it is like when you do addition and subtractions, you have borrowing and carryover, and this is about the same. And for instance, I can, so this level, as you can see, is a binary level because the thousands are really binary thousands. So it's 2 times 2 times 2. It's 8 blocks. So then 10 times 10 times 10,000. That's because 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So we can solve this. For instance, we can start with the thousands and combine them, and we can, for instance, do this. Notice that now if you were trying to click above, we wouldn't be able to move the pieces down because there are already 2 below. So we have to move them away to be able to do that. And for instance, we can have 2s and that are 2, but we can also have this one that is a binary 10, and they match because 2 is the same as 1 plus 1, obviously. And what we have now, oh, we can also decompose 1 in more than one stack, right? We have 2 plus 2 is 4, so the original one was 4. We broke it down into 2 stacks of tens and ones in double quotes, 10 and 1, because they are binary tens. And we can move them there. So what we have is that, for instance, we can combine 2 and 1 of these, and these ones, and finally combine these, and we are done. And then we can proceed and go to the next puzzle. So this is going to the third puzzles and essentially also at the end of the level. At the end of the level there is a creature that is a statue that will help us to get to the next level, the one that is a desert. So this is more like a forest, the next one is a desert. But you have seen more or less what the logic is. The other thing that I have disabled for this demo, because I didn't want to have too many pieces, is that the moment you move, new pieces fly onto the stacks you already have. A bit like in Tetris, you constantly have new pieces falling down, so in this game. But I disabled this for this demo because I didn't want to have too many pieces and making it too slow to solve. But there is a dynamic nature to the game, and the pieces that arrive are also randomly generated. The computer always guarantees that their value is always even, so that it's always possible some way to split them into two and combine them. And it can be time-based, so you cannot simply take too long to do it. You cannot simply do what you do in the first levels, that you combine 100 and on the left and 100 on the right, and you get away with it. And then 1000, 1000. That's the easy way to do it, but it's also slow because you are solving it one piece at a time. Sometimes you have to be smart and combine things so that you have less pieces, and then you combine and then you remove those. And this is in more advanced levels because you have to learn to do this borrowing and carryovers and combining things. So you have to do the calculations in your head a little bit in order to be able to do that. And that's the idea. The game supports any base. So I showed you 10 and 2 because are the ones that are obviously required to get started and teach binary to the children, but it can support any. And another thing is that the overall game is, from a technical point of view, it can scale automatically to any screen size. So it is the exact same binary that during Bootstrap, the text size of the screen, the ratio of the x and y's, the length and the width, and adjust everything to fit the screen. So whether it's an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device or a Windows device or a PC or a Mac desktop, it just detects things at Bootstrap time and then it runs. So this is an advantage for deployment, obviously, and the game takes care of all the calculations geometrically. All right, I hope you enjoyed this demo, and see you at the next game. Bye-bye.